This is Amplify You, the podcast about you discovering your message and broadcasting it to the world. If you're a coach, author, or speaker, you'll want to tune in. If you're looking for the best return on your time investment to get your message out to the world in a bigger way, we're giving you full access and behind the scenes look of how we're running our podcast, how our clients have found success, and what you can do to launch your podcast today. The world needs your message. I'm Michelle Abraham, the host. Join my family as we unleash your unique genius and find the connections you need to launch your adventure today. Join us and let's get amplified. Hello, Amplify You family. Michelle Abraham, your host here today. I am joined by a great guest today. I'm super excited. I've actually met this guest, well, actually virtually, haven't we? Not actually in person. I was going to say in person, but I am bringing to you today Barbara Edie. I'm really excited. She is the go-to expert. She's the go-to intuitive expert. It really helps people take what they want to do and turn it into possibility. What's possible, right? So taking the impossible and making it possible and getting your message out there in the world and amplifying their message, which is why we resonate so much together. So Barbara, you've got so much background and experience on so many different levels as a guide, intuitive mentor, best-selling author. You've traveled all over the world. You've got so many amazing stories. So let's just dive right into who you are, what you're doing, and let's get started. So welcome, Barbara.
Oh, thank you, Michelle. Such a pleasure to be here. So yes, as you said, my message really is how to make the impossible possible, and by using or unlocking your intuitive guidance. And that's something I discovered about 30 years ago in a transformational experience I had. And it really showed me that we are surrounded by this divine and intuitive higher intelligence. So I had a direct experience of that. And it really, it confirmed to me that, yeah, there are things that are available to us that can help us do things with much more ease and grace once we know how to access that power in our heart's energy. So that's really what I help people do, is unlock their intuitive power and then put it into practical action. So once I knew how to do that, yeah, I was able to switch careers easily. You know, some of the people listening perhaps are changing careers or even businesses, like a new podcast.
Or pivoting, changing.
Pivoting, changing. Isn't everybody doing that right now? And some people, you know, what I really help people with using, again, they're what I call GPS for their soul success. It's to know that we're guided. So say you want to create a new podcast and all of a sudden, usually the fear comes up, right? It's like, how am I going to do that? Well, when again, we can, you know, tune into our heart and come from that place and know what we want to create, then the how will unfold later. But it's really kind of surrendering to that need to know and using, accessing a different source of wisdom, really. So I've been able to do that. And as you said, switch careers, create new business opportunities, travel to foreign countries that other people would never go to. And climb Kilimanjaro at the age of 55, those kind of impossible dreams. So maybe, again, your listeners have some sort of dream or what they think right now is unreachable. I'm never going to be able to do that, but it is possible. And your intuition is, I believe, the way to navigate the path to get there.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. And so a lot of us ignore our intuition. And so what are some steps to, maybe just start listening or start tuning in and start realizing that someone's knocking at your door being like, listen.
Good point. The number one reason people don't follow their intuition is a lot of people don't believe it's real, right? A lot of people, oh, it's magical. That's wishful thinking. That's not really a plan, and therefore they don't trust it. But I help people with actual, little exercises to start listening, to be quiet, to actually stop, take 3 breaths and ask your heart, what is the best next thing for me to do? And then just listen and see what comes to you, but then also notice, what is happening in your environment. So when you ask for a sign, then start noticing what is coming to you. I'm thinking of doing a podcast, and all of a sudden in my inbox, I get an email from Michelle Abraham wanting to talk to me.
Yeah.
Like that is your intuition guiding you, right? Or that is, So there's small steps to trusting it. And how do you know? The other thing is people say, well, how do I know if it's my intuition or it's, something else speaking? Well, your intuition it's those gentle nudges. It's those little aha moments. But it comes from a place of stillness, so the first thing to practice, I'd say, Michelle, is to calm that inner chatter. Give yourself 5 minutes, just practice this. 5 minutes of calm. What does my heart want today? And then listen.
Love that. Yeah, we're in such a busy, fast world that, just slowing down and taking the time to listen, I think is like a huge step. The first step, obviously, for a lot of us out there that just are go, 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 go. Just stopping and listening, I think is, like you said, is that's such a great start to it. What was I going to ask you? Something else about, when you start to tune into listening. I remember I was practicing listening to my intuition, and I was practicing receiving receiving. And then all of a sudden in the mail, I was getting like all these things like that. Like randomly I was getting cards, or I was getting I got these earrings in the mail actually. And I was like, wow, that's really amazing. You start practicing receiving, and then all of a sudden start showing up in your inbox. My kids are like, are you famous or something? Why are people sending you presents? I'm like, I don't know. Practicing receiving. But anyways, it was just one of those funny stories that I had to share.
But you asked really, you said, well, I want, like you said, the intention. I want to practice receiving, right? And then you notice what you notice. And all of a sudden, gifts are showing up for you, right? So again, so your heart is clear. You're energetically saying, oh, I'm going to practice this. And now evidence is showing up, right? That's what happens when we're clear and we start practicing. Intuition is a skill. That's the other thing that people believe. They think, oh, only gifted people are intuitive. No, we're all born intuitive. Some of us just practice more. It's like any other skill. How do you learn to drive? You practice. If you don't practice, you're not as great a driver as somebody else. But it's not personal. It's practice.
Right. And so some of the benefits, like when we're setting ourselves up for being an expert or an influencer out there, using our intuition and practicing that skill of using our intuition, what's that going to allow us to do better?
Well, the first chapter of my book, which is called Creating the Impossible, What It Takes to Bring Your Vision to Life. So say you want to be a bigger influence in the life of others. It's called Follow Your Truth. And if that's the only message I could impart to people, and when I say follow your truth, it's what is true for you. And what I mean by that is there's so many people and society's messages and fears that can take us off our soul's track. And we each came here with, quite frankly, a reason to be on the planet, right? So to be the greatest influence in the world, the greatest influencers, and visionaries are following their true dream or vision. And they're coming from their heart. Again, whether they asked intuitively, I interviewed many people in my book who were visionary change makers following these intuitive practices. Mm-hmm. And the first thing is they had a dream, let's say, to empower girls in Uganda. And they knew that dream was for them. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And then as you were receiving gifts, they started receiving resources of people who could help them with that mm-hmm. dream, mm-hmm. right? So maybe you have a dream to write a book like I did, and all of a sudden the perfect mentor showed up in front of me to help me get my message out into the world. Right. And from there you become a bigger influence. So it starts with really asking, what's my next best move to be a bigger influence in the world?
That's awesome. And then just listening.
And I want to say, it's so interesting, and again, notice synchronicity, right? Like you are here to help people amplify their voice. Mm-hmm. Literally, their speaking voice, their in their beautiful podcasts. I believe what I am here to do is help people listen and then amplify their inner voice. Because once you're able to listen and go, that's what my podcast is going to be about. Mm-hmm. It's not just what the world needs. It's the need I'm here to fill, right? That is my dream. We are conduits for a specific dream that is for us to create. I believe that. And that means following your truth.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because I do believe that my mission here is to help people get their voices heard and be seen and get out there in the world. But it took me a long time to figure out what my message was. It's like a heck of a long time.
Right. So that's clarity, which again, you can ask, okay, what, maybe you're narrowing it down to 2 or 3 choices, but it's like, what's my next move to get clear, right? And it could be, working with another person, or it could just be, okay, playing with 1 or 2 options, right? But
so what happens when we don't listen?
Well, when we don't listen, that's a great question. I believe everything happens for evolution. But when we don't listen, things tend to be more of a struggle. We tend to learn and grow more through, pain. I'll use the word pain. Sometimes that's a strong word. But yeah, I had a very important lesson once that our soul is just as happy to learn through joyful experiences as through painful ones. Both of them will help us grow. But there was a time when I was choosing pain, not consciously. We don't do that consciously. No. Unconsciously, that's another thing. There's all kinds of patterns and programs running, right, that we don't know about until we become conscious of them. And so to answer your question, when you don't listen, it's like not activating the GPS in your car or
driving in circles.
It's going to be, you might get there or you might not, but it's going to be a wilder trip and maybe not as pleasant and easy and direct a path.
Right. Mm-hmm. Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, I was just thinking, back through my life, if there was like certain patterns that kept happening, it's like, oh, that would probably be because I wasn't listening. If you had, I remember I had the same male figure, like boss, showing up over and over again, and it was like, okay, I'm done with this type of this particular person.
Right. So until we listen, the evidence will keep appearing that of the pattern, right? The pattern that's still running will keep appearing until it's like, oh, okay, here's what you're helping me learn here, or here's the insight I need. It's like, I'm the one creating that experience. And here's a way for me to create something new. A new experience with that boss, for example.
So it's not the same pattern that keeps showing up.
Right. It's like, why am I always repeating the same pattern? Well, because you're repeating the same thought, and sometimes it's the same energy. And that's the shift. Your intuition will say, make a new choice. It can be that simple. Make a new choice.
Yeah.
Or if something is really painful, or it's just, again, back to your truth, in your heart, this is not what if it's causing you pain and misery, it's likely not what your heart is really here to do. And I'll just give you a quick example. Because when I first had my own, again, intuitive awakening, I was in a career that I loved, but it was very challenging and I was burning out, and I really wanted to do something else, but I didn't know if that was really possible for me, right? And then I got the intuitive guidance so I was a nurse and I wanted to be a writer. And why I'm telling you this is how I changed that pattern. And my intuition said, well, just start hanging out with writers. Just start being in the space of what that would be like for you, right? And so I did. And then I decided, I'm going to be a writer. And things started coming to me, resources, teachers. I ended up going to journalism school and getting a degree in journalism and becoming a writer in 1 year. Wow. After changing careers. So again, Michelle, when we know, like it's that thing, we've all heard it, doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result.
Right. Yeah. Do things seem to flow and be easy when you're following your intuition? Absolutely. Is that kind of how we can kind of tell that we're
Absolutely. Yes. Things, there's a grace about them. It's not like, it's back to following your GPS in the car. Not that there won't be a detour, not that there won't be a roadblock, but it'll also say, okay, but go around it or go this way. And it's a more direct path because it's always giving us the most effective next step, and usually the most direct decision. So it's focused. I guess that's where I'm going with this. It's very.
And is it more not necessarily the how? It's just this is what you need.
Well, it is. It's the what. So back to again. It's easiest for me to use stories. Back to the Kilimanjaro example. Okay, what's my what? What dream do I want to create? That's true for me. I really want to do it. It's not my ego trying to prove something. My heart wants to climb Kilimanjaro. What's my next best move to start on the path to this dream? And it was to hire a personal trainer. Now that sounds obvious, but other people might have just thought, well, I'll just train on my own, or I'll just do it this, or I can't afford it, And they won't, it'll take them much longer. Right? So I hired a trainer. I got my mind, body, and spirit in shape. And I climbed Kilimanjaro 6 months later. Wow. A lot of people will tell themselves, oh, you got to train for years. You got to be like an Olympic athlete. Not necessarily, but you do have to take action, and the best action and focused action. And you will be guided. Yeah.
Amazing. Now you're listening to your intuition. It's taking you in the last 30 years, so many different adventures, I want to call them adventures, to living and working on 3 different continents, traveling to 40 countries, climbing Kilimanjaro, so amazing. So how can you, I know you've given us so much great content about how to discover or how to listen to it, and how do you trust it? That's, I think, my next case. Because some people might be like, oh my God, going to 3 different continents or 40 countries, they might get a little bit so I don't want to leave my life here, or, how did you navigate that?
Well, really, it's trusting the unknown. I call that embracing the mystery. And the mystery is the mystery because there's a lot that we don't know there yet. However, if we can frame it as the unknown, as rather than a scary place, a fearful place, it's actually an exciting place. That's where all innovation happens. It's where all possibility happens. So it's like deciding you're going to go on some big adventure. Is it fearful or is it exciting? That's a similar energy. And fear is just a negative expectation. And adventure is a positive expectation, right? So it's really, to answer your question, trust is a willingness. It's willingness. It's a willingness to be a little uncertain of the unknown, but focus on the reward, focus on the adventure, saying yes.
Totally.
You're a parent, or, I think of parents. Did you know what it was going to be like to have a child? No, but you embraced the unknown. You trusted that this was the right decision for you, and look at the reward. Right. So we have to trust first and just be comfortable in the unknown.
Yeah.
But say yes to the adventure.
Yeah. Well,
and then you'll start to see experiences of, again, beautiful experiences. It's practice. Even trusting is practice, one step at a time.
Nice.
Right?
I love that. I mean, saying yes to adventure is like my tagline for my life. I like you. I've been to 46 countries.
Well, good for you. Fantastic.
Worked on so many different continents. Yeah.
Right. So again, and didn't you have to trust that it would be okay when you arrived?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And if it wasn't, look at what we're experiencing in the world now. And if it wasn't, you trust, again, if you're in your heart, that you'll know how to handle it, right? You'll handle it when you need to handle it. If you can just come from that place of calm.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a lot easier when I was, in my 20s and not married, have kids. But now there's a little bit more responsibility, but there's still lots of saying yes to adventures in life as it is right now too.
Yeah. So. I heard a great quote. It's just because we're talking about saying yes to the adventure. And really that is like saying yes to your truth and what you genuinely believe is possible. Yeah. But I love this quote. It's like, life is an adventure, not a package tour. The package tour is the known, right? And it's like, well, hey, everybody, that's great. You signed up for the package tour, but really the unknown is life. That's what life is. The adventure of the unknown, of exploring.
I love that. I think everyone needs to add a little more adventure into their life these days. Find
it. You can even, again, intuitively say, what can I do today that will make me feel like I'm on a little adventure? And it can definitely be in your own neighborhood, because we're all, again, restricted to where we're traveling at the moment.
And just to give our audience a little insight as so when you don't listen to your intuition, my husband and I talked about moving to the Sunshine Coast to an off-the-grid property where his parents had for 3 or 4 years. It was our favorite place to go on the weekends. We spent all our time there. We were super happy there. And we talked about it and we talked about it and we talked about it. My husband wasn't happy at his job. We were trying to figure out how to get him out of it. And thank you, universe. We had a flood in our kitchen one morning, which put us into a temporary location for 6 weeks where we had to, live in a new place, which then got us out of our house, a new kitchen, new floor. And then we were able to put our house. We're like, well, we're halfway out. Might as well list our house and see what happens. And there you go. House sold in 2 days, and off we've been living here for 4.5 years and love it. So, it's, when you don't listen, they're going to slap you in the face and say, here you go.
That's right. Again, our intuition starts, again, it's usually gentle and it's a whisper. That's how you know it's not yelling at you.
Why don't whisper until there's a flood?
Right. It starts as a whisper. Someone says it starts as a whisper, then a feather, then a brick. Exactly. Yeah, I think you got the brick.
we definitely got the brick. And I don't think had we not got the brick, we probably still would have been talking about it. So I'm grateful for the brick. So, it's so nice that, if you don't follow your tradition, sometimes there's something that will put you back on the right track.
Yeah. And again, it's not wrong. It's just, you'll have a different experience. That's how you may not have the result as quickly or as direct and
easy.
It may not be easy. But it is possible, right? When you dwell in possibility, you start to see evidence of possibility. Right. There's this quote on my desk. It's why I called my book Creating the Impossible. This quote is, it always seems impossible until it's done. And Nelson Mandela said that.
Love
you
it.
know, imagine, because people would say that it's impossible that apartheid is ever going to end. It's not possible, right? Until it happened. And now look at all the other changes since then. And I mean, that's a global, iconic example, but
or even like the 4-minute mile, right? 4-minute mile. That's not possible to do the 4-minute mile.
Yeah, that's the classic example for the individual human being. Exactly. Once that veil was pierced and people said, well, if he did it, it means it is possible. See, that's where sometimes we have difficulty too, is we want to see the proof first.
Right.
Actually, the other way, right? You have to believe first, then you will see the evidence.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, Amplify You family, make sure you check out Barbara's book, Creating the Impossible, What It Takes to Bring Your Vision to Life. And Barbara, where else can we find out more information about you? Right.
Well, my website is a good place to go, barbaraedie.com. And Edie, my last name is Edie, Barbara, Barbara. So barbaraedie.com, but also I have a special gift for your listeners, Michelle, all about following your truth. That's whatever it is you want to create, start there. Follow your heart's wisdom. And so my gift is the first chapter of my book, and you can get that. The link is barbaraedie.com/special-gift.
Awesome. So we'll put that in the show notes too, so you guys can find it. And Barbara, this has been a pleasure. It's been so much fun chatting with you this afternoon. And I hope Amplify You got lots out of this. Let us know in the comments. Send us a message, what you loved, what you didn't love. And we'd love to hear what your thoughts are on intuition as well. So until next time, Amplify You family, be safe out there and go out and enjoy the world. Say yes to adventure, just like Barbara was saying, right? Say yes to adventure.
Be willing. It just starts with willingness. The willingness to go and say yes to the adventure.
I love it. The willingness. Thank you so much, Barbara. Take care.
Well,
okay.
Bye now.